Welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS show. My name is Mike. Kyle, hot off a plane. Jordan, welcome.
Coming in hot.
Thank you.
Real hot.
Yeah.
Guys, I seriously landed like 65 minutes ago.
He's coming in as prepared as I normally am.
The text was. Let me talk.
I got some listens in on the plane.
Yeah, well, the text was, let me talk to my wife for like 30 seconds so I don't just immediately go downstairs and get on the podcast. So we're recording slightly later, but Kyle, I'm happy that you're here.
Kyle, in 30 seconds, I'm sure you could do more than talk.
Yeah. It's too early to go there, Jordan. Let's continue. Yeah. We're going.
Let's get 30 seconds into the show. It is Tuesday, May 9th. We're going to talk about the Wells Fargo. That was last week. We'll talk about the Byron Nelson. That's this week. Kyle, first of all, Jordan is trying to back out of the Swag Golf Series with me. So are you available on September 11th to play as my partner?
Ooh. Why is Jordan backing out?
Bold statement of trying to. I lobbed over maybe we should join 2 or 3 other tournaments for the same cost as this one.
I like that idea.
He saw the results from the tournament. Jordan, where was the one this week? Nashville. He said the gross winners, they won by 5. They were -8. And they had a combined adjusted handicap, 70% of your handicap, adjusted handicap of plus 6.2. So I think he's a little worried that
was their regular.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. But
so they adjusted to like a +4.
No, but you'd have to adjust it the other way, right?
Oh, I think it
also,
I think you're right. That's how the math works out, which is just stupid.
Also, they adjust all pluses to 0, though. I don't know if you knew that.
That is ridiculous.
There's been an uproar.
Stupid.
Yes.
Well, a lot of these guys shot -8.
It's gross, so it doesn't matter. But
just in case you're curious, Mike, if you're trying to do some planning, I mean, I'm intrigued. On Monday, I like golfing on Mondays if I can. My handicap's currently at 25. So if that plays into your math at all. My one round of the year, though, we talked about last week when I was at 95. I think I'm ready.
I don't know that Meadows is the course. I don't know, Jordan. I haven't played there, so I don't know. I'm giving Jordan a hard time. We're still in.
We're still in. I was also we joined it assuming, there's a swag box. You're gonna get a cool head cover. Maybe we can sell it for a couple $100, defray the costs of this $800 tournament. Is it? Wait, was it our 660?
777.
Yes. Which is a lot for a tournament.
Our wives don't listen to the show.
Yeah. A little steep.
Yes. Well, then we've seen the other tournaments, and the head cover's ugly. The stupid design, and you get a T-shirt. And then a gift card to a resort in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, that's not great.
If you win, you get a trip.
Yes. If you win, you get a trip worth $2,000.
Well, and there's the putting contest and stuff too. I've seen the swag. But my other issue is I don't have much swag on my bag. So that would be another cost for me. I don't think I could just go with my current bag and current setup. So
Kyle, I think
that's actually a good point.
I think we could lend you something.
Yeah, well, Kyle, look, I just got this in the mail today. I mean, check out that sugar skull. I actually think this is really sharp. And seeing as I went 2 for 1 on the driver cover, I was able to sell the other one, pay for that one. So look at that.
Oh yeah.
Good work.
All right. Well, Jordan and I are still partners for the time being. I had my first round of the day. I shot 78 with 36 putts. I feel really good about that. Get that ball striking game in order, but yet not shoot too good of a score and keep that handicap in the right spot. So I think we'll be in good shape by September. You guys, thank God we didn't cover the NFL Dynasty Draft talk that we had pre-pod. Is there anything else that you guys need to hash out on how many Denver Broncos players you need to trade for? Are we good?
Well, clearly you need no Denver Bronco players since Russell Wilson's the dang quarterback.
I've sent Kyle probably 100 texts this week. My fantasy football dynasty rookie draft started Friday morning. You get 8 hours per pick, and there's a ton of trading and other things. Oh, someone picked the guy I wanted. Let me try and trade back. Like, it's actually pretty awesome, but it makes me think I would be a terrible general manager of any real sports team. Because you're just like,
does it also make you realize?
Yeah.
Analysis.
Does it also make you realize that you have a like, what do these other people do during the day with their jobs that they have so much time to dedicate to doing this? Or do you feel like, you're in as much as everyone else is in?
No, there's 14 people in the league. 4 people are at all. 6 people I know some. Like, I'm texting Kyle. I did do my research at night. I watched some YouTube videos, and then the other 4 are the freaking total degenerates that have a plan and spreadsheets and all of that. And they're usually the ones that do the best.
As I'm Xing out of my golf spreadsheets here before Jordan notices. Speaking of spreadsheets and degenerate behavior, we haven't talked about rainmakers in a few weeks, so we'll kind of transition to golf here a little bit and on the fantasy side. But Kyle, what's your take on the rainmakers game as of the Byron Nelson? I know I'm in it a little bit deeper, but what's your take on the dynamics here?
I'm a little surprised, I guess, of where I'm at. I thought at this point in time I would have moved more cards, but the market has changed abruptly as more supply hit the market. The ability to sell even mid-level cards is very non-existent, especially if you had any sort of investment in those cards to begin with. But I will say overall, though, I'm winning more than I thought. So I'm winning more in events, not huge money, but I'm clawing back my investment, and to the point where I'm nearly even, and I can just let it ride from there. But I haven't been able to sell the cards like I thought I could.
So that was so just what has happened, right? There was pretty limited supply early, and so you were trying to hand pick your players. Like, that's what I thought the strategy was going to be. Then the market got flooded, so they were selling at all levels. They're selling all kinds of booster packs. You could win tons of cards in contests, and so I think everybody's wallets got really fat. And now they've kind of, so that's what kills the resale market. Now they've kind of cut off all that supply, so they're like, weekly booster packs have run out. They're not doing like the 10 for 10 contest at the core level anymore. And I'm seeing a lot of chatter like in Discord of people are like, hey, my wallet is what it is. I'm not spending another cent on new players. I'm just going to ride with this the rest of the way. And I think the reason that we're winning money is because we've accumulated enough players that now we're just applying our DFS strategies. And that gives us a leg up on people that are just playing whatever they got in their wallet and not actually like kind of thinking about it like a DFS contest. So I'm pretty confident in the ability to win a few bucks every week. I'm not as confident right now in like hitting huge home runs because I don't have thousands of cards I can be playing, but most people seem to be kind of done buying stuff.
Yeah, I'm intrigued though. Just I usually have one lineup that kind of flirts, but I guess I don't have near as many cards as you, but my hand's always kind of forced, right? I have a Carson Young, I have a Scotty, I have a Justin Thomas, I have a Jason Day, I have a Decky, and between those 5 and then whoever's the flavor of the week, Wyndham Clark, I have a Wyndham Clark, and then kind of plug in the one guy that we like from our research with my 4 studs, and so far that lineup has cashed every time.
That's a good point. Yeah, I agree that you have fewer cards. You're kind of forced on what strategy you go with versus I have like 150. I have to actually kind of like put some thought into it. But anyways, I still having fun with it. But I do think that like there's a bit of a buzzkill out there in the community of people just kind of hating on the setup and all that. But we'll see. Hopefully we can just cash one big. I'd love to cash bigger than a $10 lineup one of these weeks. That would be really nice for one of us.
That's all I put any of my. That's all I put my lineups in anymore. The bankroll boosters. I'm gonna every $5 is a positive. At this point,
there you go.
I'm just gonna ride that out. This is my first week not winning any with 4 lineups.
I'm really excited this week to play my 2 Charlie Hoffmans and my 2 Chase and Hadleys.
Well, I'm there with you. That's what you get in a non-elevated event. And we'll talk about that really quick after the Wells Fargo. Where do you guys stand on the finish there? So obviously things kind of tightened up a little bit with Xander and Wyndham Clark, but then I think Kyle, you said like Wyndham was nails down the stretch, and he shoots a bazillion under on the weekend. 20 under on Quail Hollow is pretty good. But I don't think it's the elevated. I don't think it's what we all want in the elevated event, to kind of have a boring Sunday afternoon. Wyndham Clark is like deserves it all the way, but it just didn't have the excitement.
Yeah, I think overall it was good to see him get the win just because he's played so well, and his career trajectory. He's getting to the point. He's older, as like kind of almost not an elder statesman, but if he's going to become a good golfer, it needs to be now, right? So it was great to see him get the win. In the pod universe and the circle we play in, I feel like the event's kind of getting some hate. People are kind of worn out with Quail Hollow, and just not like even kind of hating on the elevated events. Oh, there's too many. It's like, what do you guys want? Like, we're getting good golfers. We're getting a good field. I thought it was kind of cool to see a good field without Rahm and Scotty, and see, all the next guys still right there
without Rory.
Out. Well, and our correct fate of Rory, might I add. So I don't really understand some of that discourse. And granted, I feel like sometimes, especially in our Twitter sphere, it's a little bit of an echo chamber. So maybe it's just a couple people saying that, but I don't mind Quail Hollow. It's kind of repetitive, but overall, I enjoyed Wyndham getting the win, and I didn't have any complaints about the week.
All right, Jordan, did you catch any of it?
I did not. It was nice. We had some nice weather. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I even turned the TV on to catch a single shot of it.
Sunday was beautiful here. Saturday was not.
Yeah, I did. I was doing yard work on during the back nine, so I honestly didn't tune in, but it was kind of in the bag at that point.
Yeah.
I will. I'll check off a couple of RTG housekeeping items here. The listener league. None of the hosts. None of the hosts making a run, but we did have RTG league listener league stalwart JY Sodi getting the win. Arano M2 in second place, and Resprout in third. Kyle, any thoughts on how that finish took place? I didn't really pay attention. When I'm at the bottom, I kind of tune out.
Yeah, I didn't look close second. That Arano M2 is just racking up the seconds this year, I feel like. Just a lot of seconds.
I will say, I finished, personally, I finished, bottom third, but I was 5 of 6. So I don't know. I don't know if we had a heavy chalk week or just a lot of cuts made, but 5 of 6 was no bueno in the RTG listener league. Part of that had to do with Cameron Young, our hammer play from last week, just stuck in neutral. The guy couldn't do anything, and this should have been a course he should have been able to dominate. So tough to swallow that one.
Yeah, at least he scored pretty close to Rory, and as we pointed out last week, he had $2,400 less. So he made the cut. Did he score as well as we wanted to? No, but did he kill your lineups? No. Yeah, there's
that's
nice
a really good point
out there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still, he's still going to help boost our model stats from a top power index play. He was the only player in our kind of top echelon of 80 and above. And he scored above average in our model. So I think you're right. At $8,700, like, what more do you want? Maybe a top 30 finish would have been a little bit stronger, but so obviously Wyndham Clark gets the win. Our top article of the week was Fantasy Labs Cash Plays. One of Landon Selinsky's articles has been really strong all year. Gutsiest play, Michael Kim. 2 weeks ago, Michael Kim sends out this tweet that he had to withdraw back out of a practice round because he tweaked his back on the range watching Ben On hit bombs. And so I think I texted you, Kyle, that like I pulled him out of all my item in one Rainmakers lineup. I pulled him out of that, left him on the bench. Plays great in Mexico, and then plays great here. And now, spoiler, he's getting a decent amount of love for the Byron Nelson. So I don't know. Screw Michael Kim.
Overall, it was a really good week for the model, though.
Yeah.
Outside of, like we said, Rory didn't score as well as we would have liked to see in the model, but we talked through that and the reasons we didn't really go there much. I only played him in tiers. I think was the only place he clicked.
Same.
Cameron Young and Keith Mitchell were middling, but hey, they at least both made the cut. But Wendy C had a lot of love. I had a lot of him in lineups. Xander had a lot of love. Sung Jae, JT and Cantlay didn't kill ya. Ricky didn't kill ya. So, I mean, overall, I had a good week. I didn't pop any big GPPs, but hit all cash games across the board.
Good work. Good work. One and done. Final notes. What happened there? I blindly again. I gotta get in the one and done rhythm. Obviously, you can tell I mailed it in. I put in an early, I think Victor Hovland play on Monday morning just to kind of make sure I had something in there, and then he goes highest owned for the week out of the pool. So
yeah.
What the hell?
6 people selected Hovland, so you weren't alone.
I know.
2 people also shot their shot with Rory and got a total of $51,000,
including our leader, right, Jacob King.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we had the highest golfer we had was one person picked Xander, so Paisley golfer got $2 million. After that, it was all the way down to 8th. B. Blasberg and Springman both had Homa for $525,000. So not a big money week, not much movement. Jacob King still in first place, only by $58,000. But no one below him made up any ground. Paisley golfers now moved into the top 10 with that one, but it's still over $4.5 million behind. So there's a chance. I'm going to keep scrolling down here. There's Mount Cost.
We did this last week.
8 million down. RTG Kyle 7.8 million.
It's getting late. It's getting late quick for me and Mike. Greg Bentley, we've called him out. Listener Greg, it's getting real late for you, buddy. We need some dubs here. Need some dubs quick.
Yep.
Greg Bentley has the worst picks in the entire thing so far. He is plus 77 on his picks.
But you know what? He went to the Masters this year. He went to the Masters.
And he's not last.
So. He's not last.
All right. Well, we'll transition to the Byron Nelson real quick, though. I saw a couple of cans. I know, Jordan, you went and ran and grabbed something. I got double dry hop Pseudo. This has been around for a bit around here. So a good variant on a classic.
Always a good choice. I was digging through my fridge again and only finding triples because that all seems to be all I see at the liquor store anymore.
Yeah, every time you text us
with you bought a 4-pack of triples and texted us about it Friday.
Yeah, that beer was freaking delicious. Maybe I'll drink that on the pod next week. But I found this one in the back of the fridge. Stacks in the Park.
I like that one a lot.
Local. Triple dry hopped, triple IPA. Collab with North Park Beer Co. I have no idea where that is, but it's a 9.7 Kicky in the Nuts beer.
I feel like North Park Beer Co.'s got to be Chicago.
That's my guess. While you look that up, Mike.
San Diego, California.
San Diego. I have a Drekker Ectogasm, Just a single IPA, Jordan. I know it's beneath you, but just a single.
Come on.
It's solid.
Wow, North Park Beer Co. is right by the San Diego Zoo. So we
How did we not go?
We should have gone there after the zoo.
Jordan didn't join us on our beer excursion, Kyle.
Yeah.
That one night. You're rocking the Pure Project hat right now. Jordan was pooping his, whatever.
You both got sick for a portion of that trip. You need a little Kyle Engblug in you.
All right. The AT&T Byron Nelson, this has moved around a bit, now hosted at TPC Craig Ranch. No one really likes this golf course. It's pretty unmemorable. Not a lot of features that are going to challenge players. It's going to be a birdie fest. KH Lee has won this event 2 years in a row. And so I know as golf bettors, we have an aversion to betting someone or playing them in DFS in back-to-back years or really back-to-back-to-back. But that dude's been playing some really good golf lately. So I'm going to be interested to see as we get into the picks where KH Lee ranks out, but he's the two-time defending champ. This is your PGA warm-up. So we do have some guys like Scotty Scheffler that didn't play last week at the Wells Fargo, but he is going to play this week. Jordan Spieth backed out. JJ Spawn backed out. But there will be a couple of names here. But most of the stars taking a break as they wait for the PGA Championship next week. Kyle, my take on this golf course, it's a TPC course, although I don't think it commands the ball striking like all of those Pete Dye TPC courses. Strokes gained approach will be heavily weighted, but part of that is because the greens are so freaking huge. And so you have to be able to hit the ball into the right parts of the green if you want to have a chance to score. And so I think this is also what I've heard is one of the few courses on the tour that actually really is going to reward putting. And a part of that is the big greens and a 3-putt avoidance and then being able to roll in a few along the way. But strokes gained approach, strokes gained putting. What do you think?
Yeah, you just got to score. However you're going to do it, you got to score. You got to go low. 25 and 26 under the last 2 years here, or 24 and 25. They did change one. They just announced it on Monday, which is weird, but it's a par 71 now this year. They changed one of the par 5s that was very easy to score on to a par 4. Yeah.
Just because, I mean, the podcast that I've been listening to this week all said it was a par 72, and it's about 7,400 yards, not that long. So now it's a 71.
Let me validate that. I swear.
I believe
it's been a really long day, and I listened to. I mean, the pods I listened to yesterday seemed like 3 days ago, so I'm not 100% sure.
So regardless,
the best thing about this tournament is going to be their party hall.
Yeah, right. They do have a fully enclosed par 3.
Okay, tangent alert. We haven't talked about this, but I think I listened to, I don't listen to it every week, but Golf Digest does their Loop podcast now. They've really struggled with their podcast strategy because they keep on converging and diverging their podcasts. But conspiracy theory was laid out that the hole-in-one at Live Adelaide may have been staged.
Oh, for sure.
Oh!
I didn't even see it, but I didn't see it, so I'm just going to support it.
I mean, how do you stage a hole-in-one?
Well, I don't know that this is all totally thought through, but the facts that were laid out were that this is the coincidences start to add up. So this is the first time Liv has done this sort of copycat WMO 16th hole scene, and they're pumping it up. The celebrations were ready with the beer showers and just the absolute craziness. And the thing that I think was getting people going was that the camera work on the ball was a little suspect in the way that it kind of came over a slope, and that it felt like it could have been somewhat easily doctored. And the fact that literally every celebrity that was posting content about Live Adelaide had this on video. with a hole-in-one happening. And they said there's almost no way that you could ensure all of those people were on that hole to see that happen for Chase Koepka, of all people, unless they
Brooks
were
put in his
told.
contract, didn't he?
Yeah, unless they were told that they needed to be there to see this, and then you just leave the other 20,000 people in the dark, and they go crazy because they're drunk. But I don't know. I mean, they kind of had me there thinking that why not just stage it? Who cares? Doesn't mean anything. Chase Koepka, it's not going to affect the golf tournament.
But why would people celebrate if it didn't go in?
Because maybe some of the people, they start celebrating. I don't know. Jordan, these are unanswerable questions.
If it's like the waste management open on 16, you don't know what's going on. You just, hey, everyone cheers. I mean, outside if you have one of the groups that are betting big money on it.
Yeah.
So back to TPC Craig Ranch, it is playing as a par 71 this year.
Okay, interesting. All right.
I believe I need to shout out Andy Lack. I believe he mentioned on his pod, but then PGA Splits 101, Ron Kloss also has it on his Twitter that they switched one of the holes.
All right. Well, Kyle, why don't you give us the model rundown and a couple of core plays?
I don't think anyone will be surprised. Well, first off, talking about non-elevated event, some people taking the weeks off, some people withdrawing. I feel like a lot of our contributors are taking the week off from a non-elevated event model, or at least slow playing their posts a little bit, wait until Wednesday. So I would encourage some of those out there to stick to your Tuesday articles. It's we greatly appreciate it. But anyway, Scotty Scheffler leading the way. Scotty Tahati, Mr. Texas at 11.9 on the salary. So pretty dang expensive, but 50% mentioned share at 100 MPI. Right behind him, KH Lee, our two-time winner, also Dallas area resident, as is a lot of the Korean players on tour these days, and 9,300 in the salary, 38% mentioned share, right around 50 on the MPI. Then we save you some money with Mr. Eric Cole, who's been playing pretty well, 7,400 on salary, 33% mentioned share, but our MPI doesn't love him at this point. And then Jason Day, 9,400, 33% mentioned share, and 67 on the MPI. I am completely opposite of our conversation about Rory last week. I will be playing Scotty. He will be in my cash lineups for sure. I'm not sure on tournament plays yet. I think if you go there, especially with speed withdrawing, you're going to have to go all in. So not sure yet, just because I haven't played with builds and how that would work at that salary a ton. But I'm for sure playing him in cash lineups. I don't think it would surprise, but a lot of our big guns are on him. Rick Gaiman, Jason Sobel, Aguilar, Gadula, McClure. So you're not going to be alone if you go there. After him going down board a little bit, somebody I didn't quite get to yet, I am intrigued by Steven Yeager, 8,200 on the salary, 27% mention share, and another guy our MPI does like at this point in time, Ulrich, as article at DK Nation had mentioned Yeager, as well as Spencer over at Rotoballer, and McClure is going there too. What about you, Mike? Those are the first two that I was considering. I want to go down board a little bit from there, but who do you got your
when is the last time Scotty Scheffler finished outside of the top 12? October 23rd, the CJ Cup. He finished T45.
Was he like 11th in Phoenix?
He won Phoenix.
Or no, sorry. Yeah,
he was 11th at the Amex. He was 12th
Amex.
at Genesis.
11th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to think this is the same conversation from Mexico with Rahm. Odds are a little bit longer on Scotty this week, but you have to think his floor has to be a top 10 in this event this year. So I agree with you. He's got to be a smash play. Anything under, he should be $13,000. So I'm all there. I'm all there on Scotty. Now there's a couple of guys that jumped out at me, and I was trying to figure out, just doing some quick recency research here around a couple of names because I was trying to figure out the pricing. So Steven Yeager feels like he's been perpetually priced at $8,200 regardless of the event. And so in a field like this, if I'm getting at 8,200, I mean, I'd have to double check what he was the last couple of weeks, but I feel like 8,200 for Steven Yeager is pretty solid. The guy's been a ball striking machine, pretty awful putter lately, but a ball striking machine lately. And so I'm willing to bet on that at a course like this that rewards ball striking, and just if he just is an even putter for the week, it could be a decent finish for him. Eric Cole, similar at 7,400. I feel like he's been playing a lot better than maybe some of his recent finishes has. It's probably because I'm thinking back to the Honda where he was second, and the Mexico Open where he finished fifth. He has had a handful of missed cuts there, but really consistent on approach, and then a couple of wonky putting weeks. So I think with Eric Cole, you could see him gain 1.5 strokes on the greens like he did in Mexico, or you could see him lose 1.5 like he did last week at the Wells Fargo, and that's the difference between a top 5 and a missed cut. Guy still gained a bunch of strokes on approach. And then the other guy that I feel like could be a really nice price point is Jimmy Walker at 7,100. I'm like, this guy has been near the top, but here's the problem with Jimmy Walker. He's been doing it mostly around the green and putting, which is really what his stat profile is. And so he's had 4 top 25 finishes in his last 5 events, and that feels pretty good for a guy at 7,100. And he's been positive on approach, but like most of his play has been coming around the greens and on the greens. So I don't know. I feel like as soon as I get on the Jimmy Walker bandwagon, that thing is gonna come to a crashing halt.
That's gonna be a tough click for me. I'm glad you brought up Eric Cole. He's someone I wanted to talk through as well. I think I'm gonna keep an eye on the wind forecast this week, as I just came from Texas today. I mentioned just got off the plane. It was pretty stormy. It was pretty wet. Granted, I was not in Dallas area, but just this time of year, you're gonna have stuff blow through. And if the wind's gonna be up, I'm more intrigued by Cole. But I think he's, as you mentioned, Mike, he has had those spike putting weeks, but he's also had some poor ones. So I think I'm more intrigued by him in a GPP or a tournament contest than a cash lineup. Jimmy Walker is going to be tough. He's been playing well, and he does play well in Texas. He has historically, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet there. What's I'll highlight my third, but I want to give Jordan the floor a little bit to see if he's got his eye on anyone.
Go for it, Jordan.
Before you go to your third, okay.
Yeah, before I go to my third. Sorry, I didn't use all my words there.
All good. So I was just doing a little research on last year's tournament. What place did Scotty Scheffler get here last year, Mike?
14th.
Tied for 15th. Tied for 15th.
Okay, I wasn't looking.
And what stands out to me most about last year, I remember everyone being on Will here, and we're like, it's a birdie fest. Why are we playing Will? And I still think I did it, and it did not work.
I remember that conversation actually.
It's nice now that we've got the same tournaments year over year, same courses. We can have some of these conversations if any of us were smart enough to remember them ahead of time. If someone had an agenda and they could listen to last year's and then bring stuff up.
Literally every agenda is in the same document. So just scroll down.
But yes, so I've got a few towards the top of our model. Bezuidenhout and at 8,000, fairly cheap. And then Nate Lashley at 7,200. Both were top 20s here last year. Lashley had was it this last week or the week 2 weeks ago?
He played pretty well this last week.
Yeah, I think he was +4 or something on Sunday, which hurt him overall, but the rest of the week was pretty good. And at $7,200, if he makes the cut, you get free points. And then the other one that I was going to go down to was a little Tom Hoge. We haven't talked about Tommy Tables in a while. He had a top 20 here last year. Maybe it's his time again.
TCU college boy.
So I might be I must be mistaking this with Colonial. I think he flamed out as the local play it must have been at Colonial and not here. My problem with Tom Hoagie this week is his price point, because
Yeah,
I'm
it's
comparing
expensive.
him. I'm comparing him to Bezadenhout and really Steven Yeager, and I'm getting a $300 discount on Steven Yeager, who's been an elite ball striker the last 5-6 weeks, and Tom Hoagie has been kind of all over the place, actually doing his good things bad. And so I don't know that if I'm making an 8K play, it's going to be on Hoagie, unless it's a solid pivot. And he's my guy, but
I think
the other guy that I forgot about was, do you guys get the email from DraftKings who got added to the lineup today?
Go for it.
No.
Dick Johnson. $6,000. I think name game is we all get Dick Johnson and we get to ride him to the victory.
I'm glad you brought up lineup construction a little bit, Mike, because I think
I thought you were going to say I'm glad you brought up Dick, Jordan.
I just had to transition off that. I had nowhere else to go. I know we kind of talked about Scotty at a salary point, but I think that's going to be huge here, because the last 2 years as studs and duds, and we've only played this event here twice, but studs and duds has been the way to go. So I think a lot of people were going into this week looking at maybe Scotty and a 9 or Spieth and a 9, and then shooting low on the board. So those 8K guys, I don't think they're going to carry a lot of ownership. Seabass, Yeager, some of the ones we're talking about, Seamus Power, even Hoagie. So it hasn't been the path to victory in the past, but it's only been 2 years. That's not history. So I'm kind of intrigued by taking some approaches to ignoring the top of the board in a tournament style contest and going a little bit more even.
I'm sorry, Mike. We're gonna go back to Dick Johnson. Little bio on him here.
I was trying to give you time. That's why I transitioned. I wanted to hear more about Dick.
He's the least Swedish person you will ever meet. He's Swedish, born in Sweden. Carl Richard Stanley Johnson, and he chose to go by Rich-ard Johnson, which is questionable all around. He is a former pro skateboarder, and he has a PGA Tour win. Did you know that?
No.
Did he win the Butterfield Bermuda Championship?
2008 U.S. Bank Championship in Milwaukee.
Wow.
And he also lost in a playoff at the Colonial to Tim Herron in 2006.
Oh, old Lumpy.
Old Dick Johnson's been around the block.
When you Google Dick Johnson, do you just go Dick in the search bar, or do you do something else?
I fully typed in Rich-ard Johnson.
Okay, all right.
Yes, but I couldn't believe he was Swedish. His paternal grandfather is American, who settled in Sweden and married a Swede. So 2 generations down, they still named their kid Carl Richard Stanley, even though he was born in Sweden.
All right.
Well, my last play.
That was long enough on Dick.
Yeah, last play, we teased him earlier, but I am intrigued by Michael Kim this week. 7,500 on salary, so you get a little bit of savings there. 16% mention share, and not great on the MPI at this point. But I just like outside of the little injury scare there, do like what we've seen from him. Obviously, he was 7th last week, but he hasn't missed a cut since the Honda, and his worst finish in there is 46th at the Valero. But at that price point, I think you can do a lot worse than a guy that has 2 top 10s in the last 2 months.
I stand by screw Michael Kim. Kyle, tears?
I think the hard decision this week is going to be in tier 2, because you got a lot of guys that have been playing well there. Our course history, you have KH Lee at 9,300, coming in at 45 on the MPI. Jason Day 67 on the MPI. Decky at 43 on the MPI, but is getting a little love in the model. And then we mentioned, we didn't mention him yet, but another guy that lives in the Dallas area that I do know some people like from a betting perspective this week is Tom Kim. 9,600 salary, 16% mention share. And the model from an MPI standpoint kind of likes Tom. Right now, it's looking like the play, though, is Jason Day from MPI perspective. I know KH Lee has the history here, but given how Day's playing, I think I like that for tier 2 over Lee, and certainly over going Decky. I think there's some places I'm interested in Decky, but it wouldn't be a tiers cash out contest.
Kyle, I was really hoping you were going to be a 12-year-old boy there when you said which tier was hard, and then you didn't talk about Dick Johnson anymore.
Unfortunately, Dick Johnson is not in any tier.
Ah, shoot.
All right. I think we can finally exit the whatever you want to call this.
I'll find a way to bring it back, Mike. And this is
good.
I forgot to tell you, this is my last one before men's league starts, so it's only going to get worse for the
warm up.
Rest of summer.
I look forward to that. I think our fans have been longing for whatever it is, whatever the shtick is. No, this is really what you're like.
Yeah, all the time.
No, it's worse off air.
Yeah. This is filtered me.
The name game. The name game. Last week, Jordan brought us the Adam, Matt, Ryan show, and we had 5 groups, and we debated which group the listeners should get. I wanted to give them Schenk, Schwab, and more. Kyle, you wanted to give them Spence and Kuchar, Armor. That was a difference of 100. I know, but that was a difference of 140 points. So the listeners went from finishing last to finishing first, and the person that would have finished first would have been me. So instead, I don't get anything, but you guys duke it out for the basement. By 1 point, Kyle, Adam Long, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ryan Cole comes up short. So you get the opportunity to offer us a new game this week.
Did you guys, I don't know, what were you guys doing in 1978?
Swimming around in my...
Did you know that is when the TV show Dallas started?
Oh.
And it ran till 1991. Okay. And then it was rebooted. It rebooted again in 2012. Did you guys partake in watching Dallas at all?
No, but is this going to be like the time Mike did movies directed by someone?
By Michael Bay.
Yeah,
totally.
There's some stretches here. I might use characters sometimes, and I might use the real people's names sometimes. Okay. But I had to make things work. So there's 4 teams of 2. Based on names from the show. Might be the actors, might be the actual characters. Team number 1, their salaries, I try to get them as close as we can, but there's some names I couldn't stay away from because they fit so well, so it is what it is. Team number 1, from the show, we had J.R. Duffy, so naturally, we have MJ Daffy. Since we really like saying his name on the show. So he's 7,200. He is paired with Cliff Barnes from the show Dallas, who is played by Ricky Barnes in our name game this week for 6,100. So that's a 13-3. Team number 2 is Patrick Daffy, played by Patton Kazire. A little stretch there, but I made it work. 7,300. And then we have Tommy Suter, who of course is none other than Tommy Tables. 8,500. So they come in, they're pretty hefty on the salary, that team, 15,800. 15,800. I do have a tab for this, Mike, so you don't have to write all this down. Next, we have J.R. Ewing, and just how his name works, we went with S.H. Kim. because salary kind of worked and there's initials to start it, but it's 7,600.
He sounds like he's from Dallas.
Yeah. Well, he lives in the Dallas area. I'm assuming. I mean, all the Koreans do. Drew Ramos.
And by all the Koreans, you mean the golfers on the PGA Tour, right? Not all the Koreans, Kyle. Okay.
Right. And
I draw a line. So. I draw a line at penises, Kyle.
All the up and coming Koreans. Anyway, his partner Drew Ramos from the show Dallas. This week's being played by Andrew Novak, $7,000. So that team has 14,600 on the salary. Then with Chris Ewing, Chris Stroud is his representative at the tournament this week. And finally, there's a character named Smiling Frank who is going to be Alex Smalley, because that's close to Smile. 6,477. So that team is 14.
Smiley's not on the tour anymore?
No, Smiley's not on the tour anymore. So you got MJ, Daffy, Ricky Barnes, Patton Desire, Tommy Tables, S.H. Kim, Andrew Novak, and Chris Stroud, Alex Smalley.
Do I get to start because I was screwed last week?
Mike, you seem really to be upset about last week, so sure, we'll let you go pick your boy Tommy Tables.
That's Kyle, you're nice. I would have been like, you get to pick last.
The team that I want would still be available if I was picking last.
Okay, go. Who do you want?
That makes it seem like I would want Ricky Barnes. I want S.H. Kim and Drew Novak.
That's probably what I would have went with. All right, Jordan, you can go.
I was trying to pull up the agenda so I could see all these names again here quick.
It's under codename Dallas in the sheet.
Oh, it's in the sheet.
Yeah, we know you look at that.
Well, while you're
I've got that open, guys.
While you're
Kyle,
looking,
you realize there's a name game tab that you can use.
Well, I didn't want you guys to find this, so I put it next to it under
codename Dallas. I did just pick CJ Stroud with the number 4 pick in my rookie dynasty draft. But I have zero interest in him as a golfer. So I am going to go with Tommy Tables.
Figured so. I'm going out there. Our boy MJ, Daffy, and Ricky Barnes, they're going to come through for me this week, and then we'll leave Chris Stroud and Alex Smalley for the listeners.
All right. Well, final thoughts on the Byron, Kyle. Are you gonna bet on the Byron Nelson Classic?
I do have a card this week. A lot of the names we've talked about, and a betting resource I used kind of gave me some crap about a little theme you might notice in some of them. But I went Decky at 29-1, just at that number in this field. I thought that was a good number to grab, and obviously he's shown he can go up and win events, so I'll take that 29-1. I did bet Michael Kim at 90. Dylan Wu at 130. Si Woo Kim, Jordan's boy, at 35, and then I broke the streak with Adam Scott at 36.
So you just picked people that live in Dallas, streak? Kyle.
No, there wasn't a reason. I had legit reasons for going to each of those guys this week. I say Siwoo, he's shown he can win. He can show he can win in low scoring events. And then lastly, I went to Adam Scott just because I had that fifth place on the card, and listened to some pods on Monday. It kind of talked me into it. So shout out to some of the content out there that showed me the way. I haven't seen anyone else on Dylan Wu. I've seen some love for Brandon, but he's been playing pretty well. And at 130, I figured it's worth a shot. If there's going to be an event with Scotty and stuff in it that can still have a launch shot win, I feel like it's this week.
Scotty down to plus 360. If you're interested in going there, or Kyle, as you mentioned in Mexico, who are you going to parlay Scotty with?
Yeah.
Broncos to win the Super Bowl.
Wait,
the Vegas Golden Knights to win their series.
What did I text? Oh, Mike, you texted today. Gambling in Minnesota.
Yes.
Well, no, I texted you an ad that came up on the DraftKings app that gave me a link to like email my senator.
Yeah, did you go do it?
No.
I'm going to.
Did you know? I didn't. They like hid the X in the corner. Yeah, I didn't reach out either, but it popped up, and it would be awesome if we could actually get that. So then the state of Minnesota, all the college athletes here could get in trouble like that terrible state of Iowa did today because they're all gambling on things when they shouldn't be.
Hey, it wasn't today, first off, and at least they weren't the Alabama baseball coach. You guys see about that one?
Oh, just deflect, Kyle.
No, the Alabama baseball coach.
Yes.
Though.
Yeah, that's bad. That's really bad.
Did you see that, Mike?
No.
Well, they haven't said whether the bet was placed on his behalf, but he was on the phone with somebody as they walked into a sports book in Ohio, right? And the guy went and bet LSU in Ohio at a very large sum of money over two bets. And before it had been announced that their ace starter wasn't pitching that night, and they were pitching some like reliever, and they lost to LSU 8-6. So he got fired, and you now no longer can bet on Alabama baseball games in most states.
How are people so bad at being criminals? Oh wait, it's because they go into the business because they are not smart to begin with.
Yeah, well, I had for another time. I had another story that we could file into that topic. But I guess we'll just leave it at that. You can find our content on our Twitter feed at RTG Podcast DFS, and of course, new episodes of our podcast on our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, or on any major podcast platform every Wednesday morning. We'll be back in a week with the results of the AT&T Byron Nelson and a preview of the PGA Championship. See ya.